Yo, let's talk about gatekeepers and your competition. What's happening, everybody? Your boy Big Brando, and today we're going to be talking about why do people gatekeep and who's your competition. And these two things kind of go hand in hand, especially with the topics that I want to talk about when it comes to knowledge sharing, when it comes to giving up the trade secrets, and just when it comes to selling t-shirts in general. This is just my point of view. This is my opinion. This isn't the law. This isn't what everybody should be thinking like. This is just how I think and how I operate and kind of where I'm coming from with this whole topic. Now, there's two different sides to this. There's the gatekeepers and there's the people that are against the gatekeepers, I guess you could say. So you have people that know the industry secrets and you have the people that want to know the industry secrets. Now, this is a touchy subject for everybody. And the reason I say that is because I know what both sides of the coin feel like. I was once in the position where I wanted to know the trade secrets and nobody was giving them up. And I was mad that nobody was willing to help me out. And that's kind of what sparked me to share all of my business inside secrets with YouTube, because this information wasn't available when I was coming up. So you got to remember, when I was coming up in the 90s, there was a ton of people out here that knew about screen printing and about, t-shirt brands and clothing brands and stuff like that. But not everybody was willing to help at that time because everybody viewed everybody as competition. So if somebody was going to teach me how to screen print, they're basically teaching their replacement. That's how everybody used to think. So as far as job security goes, nobody would want to give up the information or the insider secrets because they felt that they were training their replacement. And that's not really what it is. So you have a lot of people kind of looking at you as competition, and that's why they don't want to share certain things. And then there's people that feel like they've spent years acquiring this information and learning this trade and doing all this stuff, and they've made a ton of mistakes and wasted a lot of money, that they feel it's not worth it to give just to anybody. They want you to make your own mistakes, and they want you to, waste money, and they want you to go through the same experiences they did so you could earn whatever information you're acquiring now. So I get it. That part right there is a touchy subject because I understand what it's like. The only thing that I'm kind of iffy about is sharing fonts, because I spend hours looking at font websites, looking at different typography, looking at different font creators to get the right thing of what my design is calling out for. It's just a feeling. It's like something where I'm like, all right, you know what? I feel like this font should look like this. This is what I'm going for. So I spend hours online looking for that exact font. If I can't come up with the lettering myself, I'll find it. And then it's kind of soul crushing when somebody says, hey, that's a dope font. Where'd you get it from? What's the name of that font? And it's like, man, I spent hours looking for this thing. And I'm not going to just give it up to you. I'll tell you where I got it from, but I'm not going to make the search that much easier. It's more about just, hey, man, you have to put in some work yourself too. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I kind of get a little touchy with, is only because it takes me a long time to find the right thing of what I want to do. And then somebody's just like, hey, man, what is that? I want to know. I'll tell you where I got it from, and it's always linked. The places I get my fonts from is always linked in the description box. You got to pay for them. They're not free, but you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? So for a lot of people, when you see the designs that I make and the fonts that I use, it's from the websites that's linked in the description, and you can do it yourself and find them yourself, and you create your own designs. I'll bring you to the water, but I'm not going to help you drink it. You know what I mean? I'll show you where it's at. You got to do the rest on your own. So I understand both sides of quote unquote gatekeeping, right? For myself, everything outside of my business or within my business is shared when it comes to the transfers I use, the blank t-shirts I use, the equipment I use, my marketing strategy, all of that stuff available on YouTube for you guys to learn, so you guys can see how I do this. How do I sell t-shirts? How do I market these things? How do I make these designs be relatable to the end user? How am I finding the end user? How am I finding the clients that I want to work with? All of that stuff available for you on YouTube, because that's what it's about, is knowledge sharing, right? It's basically just not even laying out the blueprint, but just showing you what I'm doing so you could kind of tailor it to yourself. You don't have to do things exactly like me. You don't have to use the same equipment. You don't got to use the same blank t-shirts or the same transfers that I use. But it's there for you just as a starting point so you can understand how I'm doing things and how I'm making money. I get it, because it's always easier to watch somebody do something and be like, all right, if he's doing it, I know I can do it too. And I get that part. So all of that is available for you for free on my YouTube channel, ready to go. Because I personally don't view anybody that sells t-shirts as competition. That is the worst thing that I could ever do. I've done it in the past, and I had to learn early that that's not the way to do things. The only competition is yourself. You're only competing with yourself, and that's it. The faster I learned that, the more fun I started having, the more profits I started seeing. Now, perfect example of this is when I was running Gardena Originals. I started a brand called Gardena Originals for the city of Gardena. That brand has a very small target audience. It's made for people that either live in the city of Gardena, grew up in the city of Gardena and moved away, people that have ties to the city of Gardena, or current residents of the city of Gardena. The city's small. It's not big. So there is a very, very small target audience for this brand. Was I the only one selling Gardena related t-shirts? No, there was other brands already doing it. There were other brands that came after me. There's a ton of people out there doing the same exact thing. You would think all of these people should be my competition, but they're not. Let me explain why. So as I came up and I started the brand, there wasn't a lot of people in the space. There was a few brands already selling Gardena related things that's seen some success, very profitable, well-known brands within the city. There's nothing wrong with that. Me starting a brand, I had to figure out a way to make myself a little bit different than the rest. We're all selling t-shirts that say Gardena. We're using different fonts, we have different ideas, we have different designs, we have different concepts. We're using different colorways. Some of them are kind of the same, some of them are a little bit different. We're doing hoodies, t-shirts, and hats. How do I make my new t-shirts here stand out amongst the rest? Now, the way that I did it was basically I started doing parking lot pop-ups. I didn't start off with a traditional online store. I needed to make my stuff available to the people. So what I did was I pulled up in the city of Gardena, different random parking lots, and sold t-shirts out of the trunk. I would jump on Instagram and Twitter and say, hey, check it out. I'm selling this t-shirt. I'll post a picture of the shirt I'm selling at this location from this time to this time. With doing that, it made me accessible to the city of Gardena. Now people would come out, buy shirts from me because they didn't have to order it online. They didn't have to pay for shipping. When everybody else was doing online stores, I was out there selling to the people. I was out there selling it out the trunk. I was everywhere. So people started to see what I was doing and they would show up. They started following me because of that. The only way to get my t-shirts was to buy it directly from me out of my trunk. So now that I've proven that this works, I started inviting other people that sold Gardena related t-shirts to these same parking lots. And I'm like, man, if it works for me, it'll work for you. If people are coming out to buy my stuff, they're more than likely to buy your stuff. So I started inviting other brands to these parking lots that I'm doing. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be posted up this Wednesday. I'm gonna be at this parking lot. You guys do the same. I'll put you on the flyer. I'll tag you in the post. Let your following know where you're going to be at too. And I just started inviting more people out to the parking lot. So now you have 110 South coming out. Raw Tunes was coming out when he was working for 110 South. He was selling Gardena stuff. He brought his Gardena t-shirts. Now people are coming to see my brand. They're seeing his brand. They're seeing the homie Bob the Barber. He was part of another clothing brand that was doing stuff for the South Bay. Same target audience. Perfect spot for him to sell his stuff. Easy call. These people should be looked at as competition, but it's not. We're all helping each other and we're all pushing the same exact thing. We all have the same target audience. Why not share it? Why not help each other out? Once I've proven for that to work, I started going to bars. Once I started going to local bars and I'm selling at the bars, I'm like, yo, I'll go to this bar, find out what their slowest night is. Nobody's coming to the bar on a Tuesday. There's no sports on, there's no football on. I'll come in and say, hey man, I could bring a crowd in on a Tuesday if you let me set up a table and sell some t-shirts out of here. So now on my social media, I'm like, hey, if you guys want to come and buy shirts, I'm gonna be at this bar, come and buy some shirts or this new hat, buy a drink, hang out. So now it's starting to work at local bars too, where the bars are starting to be like, oh, you know what? This is a benefit to having this guy here. So all I started doing was once I seen it working, I started inviting more people that had brands. So the homie Edwin, Edsta, tattoo artist, dope ass dude, makes dope ass Gardena t-shirts. He was doing it, I was doing it. I said, hey man, if I already have people coming from the city to come check me out at this bar and buy shirts from me, they would love your t-shirts too. So I invited him out. We actually shared a table for multiple occasions where we both worked the table and his t-shirts were right next to mine. Here are my Gardena t-shirts, here's Edwin's Gardena t-shirts. He's not my competition because we share the same target audience. I want everybody to win. If it's working for me, it might work for you. That's always been my mentality. So the same exact thing, after Edwin does it, now I'm inviting the homie Dave from Local Roots who makes South Bay related stuff. I'm inviting other brands that make Gardena related t-shirts, and now it's a bigger event instead of just me and myself. I understood the concept that nobody's competition and everybody is just my peers. If I'm winning, I want everybody else around me to win too. Now, is this concept new? Absolutely not. This concept's been around forever. It's just that we get caught up in running a business, owning a business, and we're only thinking for ourselves. And since we're thinking for ourselves, nobody's actually paying attention to how this works. We're all sharing and leveraging off of each other's audience. We all might be selling the same thing, but we all have different target audiences. We all have different loyal followings. So now we're sharing our following with each other. I say that because years ago, and I'm talking early 2000s, I started a website called Still a Nobody. Still a Nobody was basically a collective of a bunch of different artists pushing the same website. The reason I did that was I knew so many rappers, so many producers, so many singers, graffiti artists, tattoo artists, photographers, videographers, poets, ghostwriters. There were so many different people under the Still a Nobody umbrella that I was like, you have all these different rappers pushing their own websites, and we're all doing the same exact thing, right? We're trying to gain attention. We're all trying to get on. So everybody is pushing something different. These guys are pushing this website. That guy's pushing his own website. This guy's pushing his own MySpace or SoundCloud or whatever it is. I think it was SoundClick back then. So what I did was I just hit up everybody individually and was like, yo, man, I see what you're doing. I like what you're doing. Would you be interested in joining this website? I'll pay for it. I'll give everybody permission. All you have to do is post up your new music that's coming out whenever you're performing at a show, whatever new tattoo you just did. We had a homie on there that used to do wood burning. He would do all these crazy wood burning pieces. So anytime he finished a new piece, he'd put it up there. I just went to everybody I knew that was a creative and an artist at the time and was just like, yo, man, we're all going to be pushing the same thing. Instead of pushing your own website, I'll link your website on Still a Nobody. You could link it in the post. You have full creative control of posting whatever content you wanted on there. But as long as you're promoting yourself, promote Still a Nobody. The idea worked, where everybody, instead of pushing their individual platforms, pushed the same platform together collectively. So now every single day you had fresh new content. There was like 20 to 30 different contributors on Still a Nobody at a time, where everybody's posting what they're working on. I used to paint shoes. I used to do all kind of stuff. I was into sneakers. So anytime I would paint some new shoes, I would put them on there. Anytime somebody else is doing a new tattoo or release a new song or a new music video, somebody made a new beat, everybody was contributing to the same exact platform. So every day somebody could go on Still a Nobody and read different posts, read different blogs, look at different stuff. We had 2 podcasts on there at the same exact time. We had Malt Liquor Wednesday and Reggae Sundays that would be uploaded every week. So there was constant content being pushed. And the beauty of it was you had 20 to 30 people pushing the same exact website. So now we're all sharing our audience with each other. Somebody that went on there looking for the new tattoo is now exposed to this person's new music. Somebody going on to listen to that new music or watch that new music video is now exposed to the homie that's selling wood pieces that has art on it. Or the person that's going there looking for wood pieces and wood art is now exposed to my shoes that I'm painting on, or exposed to my new clothing brand, or the homie's clothing brand, or the homegirl's clothing brand. Whatever it is, everybody was pushing the same exact thing and sharing the same audience, and everybody was moving forward because nobody was competition. Everybody was on the same team. We was all doing the same thing, pushing for the same exact thing. Our marketing strategy was the same exact thing. Was when we go out, we're pushing Still a Nobody. Nobody was above Still a Nobody. It was just what we're doing. And like I said, everybody was an individual contributor to the site. But what helped us all was it didn't matter if you had a big following or a small following. Any following was welcome there because we were all pushing for the same exact thing. That's why when I talk about sharing knowledge, when I talk about competition, that to me is such a personal thing. When it comes to competition, the only person I'm competing with is myself. Nobody else influences what I do. Nobody else has any business within my business. It's just me and myself, and that's it. The faster you understand that, the easier your journey will be, because there's so many people out here that's mad at the gatekeepers, that's mad that somebody else is doing something in the space they want to be in. But you're wasting all that negative energy on being mad when you could be putting that energy into your own brand and building something up for yourself. So you got to get out of that headspace of saying, all right, that person's my competition, or I need to do better than this person, or I need to be like this person, or I got to be mad at this person because they're not giving up any information, and now I got to go find the information myself. No, you just got to get up and get this shit for yourself, man. In this industry, you could find just about anything on YouTube now. You just have to know what to look for. You have channels like mine that are sharing everything you need to know. Here's where I buy my transfers. Here's where I buy my equipment. Here's where I buy my blank t-shirts. This is the stuff I use. This is my marketing strategy. Everything is laid out. If you watch the playlist, Back to Basics, everything is laid out there for you in plain English. But that's what it is. I'm an open book. I love sharing the information. I love sharing the ins and outs of this business with the people to help people make some money. You can't fault somebody for not wanting to share that same information. The part that kills me is when people come to me looking for information, and then I hit them up and I'm like, yo man, like, hey, that's dope that you're doing this. What's that called? Or where's that from? Or whatever. And then they don't get back to me, or they don't want to share the information with me. I'm like, all right, cool. No harm, no foul. You act like the internet doesn't exist and I could find this stuff for myself. But it's funny when people come to me asking questions, and if I respond and come up with questions, they're like, nah, I don't want to answer, or I don't want to give up that information. I'm like, all right, see how it is. I don't fault them for it, but I just have to remember that not everybody thinks the same way I do. Not everybody's looking for everybody to win. Not everybody wants everybody to win. For me, I do. I want everybody to get on, make way more money than me, get way more traction than I do, and surpass whatever I'm doing, because that's how I know that my information is being shared with the right people. That's about it. All right? So if you're hung up on gatekeepers, fuck them. If you think you're in competition with somebody else, you're not. Don't worry about anybody else and get it for yourself, man. If you got any questions about anything I talked about, please leave it in the comments for me. Follow me on Instagram, BigBrandoTV. Catch you guys on the next one, man. Yeah.